Hi guys, so the Wizards of Once, Twice Magic, we are on to chapter 7 on the other side of the wall. As they approach Queen Sycorax's unbreachable, impregnable, invincible wall even, Zar let out a long crow of triumph. I did it! Cried Zar, punching the air. You mean we did it? Wish corrected him. Which way now? Asked the enchanted key chattily. I've never seen an enchanted object that talked before, said Zar. I don't know what I'm doing, replied Wish slightly hysterically. I don't mean to bring things to life after all. Wish was struggling to keep control of the flying door. It had looked so easy when Zar did it 6 months ago, but somehow the door, when she was enchanting it, seemed to be going way too fast and zigzagging out of control all over the place. A bit like Wish's emotions. Wish knew she should be feeling horrified and anxious. She knew that warrior princesses really oughtn't to fly on the back of doors in the company of wizards. She had tried so hard to be a warrior princess, to concentrate on all the maths work and the sword work and the letter work. But the truth was, in her heart of hearts, she was absolutely fed up to the back teeth with trying to work out whether I went before E or what happened when you took X from Y, and whether she should be getting Madame Dreadlock's homework to the schoolroom or the stables because it was every second Thursday. Of course, she was scared and sad that her mother was going to be so disappointed and so angry, but part of her was just absolutely thrilled to be back in the adventure of it, soaring high, high over the battlements, high, higher still to get over Queen Sycorax's wall, the wind blowing her hair back. Oh my goodness, they were really going to get over it, peering over the edge of the door so she could just see the little figures of the warrior sentries, shouting but not shouting up at them, way, way down below. Her heart beat fast. They were over the wall. The great forest stretched out for miles and miles like an enormous green carpet in every direction, full of excitement and possibilities of danger. The peril was instant, for the out-of-control door was sinking fast, and Bodkin pointed to the tiny distant figures of the magic hunters pouring out of the gates of the fort. They had to get as far away as possible if they were not going to be caught very quickly. Bodkin, ordered Wish, take off your armour, it's weighing us down. And as Bodkin threw away breastplate after breastplate, spears, swords, leg protectors, arm protectors, and they fell down into the forest below, the nose of the door lifted, and though it became no slower, in fact it even speeded up, it became easier to control. Wish's heart lifted too. The enchanted door shot over the forest canopy as fast as a speeding arrow, and Wish thought joyfully, they'll never catch us now, or not tonight at least. They zoomed over the ragged river and on, and beyond, out of Queen Sycorax's territory, out of the boringness of real life and punishment cupboards and horrible stepsisters, and into the drama and excitement of the wizard wildwoods. However, once they were away from Queen Sycorax's territory and flying above the forest, Wish's elation died. For there was something odd about the land she was looking down on, something different from the last time she had flown over it. Normally there was the friendly smoke of wandering giants moving slowly across the countryside, or the bonfires from the wizard camps, or great swarms of chattering sprites migrating south or north, depending on the season. Now there was not a breath of smoke, not a sound. The forest was weirdly quiet, and worst of all, were the sinister blackened circles cut into the woods, like a child had torn into them with a wicked pair of scissors. Oh my goodness, whispered Wish. This has all been done by witches, said Zar, grimly finishing the sentence for her. I had no idea this was going on, said Wish. It was a horrid thought that while life was going on just exactly as normal in the warrior territories, and they'd been doing their training and their maths work just like they always did, terrible battles had been carried out on this side of the wall. Yes, well, that's your mother all over, said Zar. As long as you're safe, she doesn't care about us. She's left us to be exterminated. That's not entirely true, said Wish. She's hired the witch smeller and his magic hunters, didn't she? If the witch smeller is that guy with the sniffing nose and the weird pointing finger, do you really think he's going to improve the situation? Asked Zar. Wish had to agree. The witch smeller's arrival in the wildwoods could not be described as an improvement. No, it's all down to me, said Zar moodily. I am the boy of destiny after all. Bodkin had shut his eyes at the word witches. Witches were all he needed to make him feel thoroughly sick, particularly because he'd now got rid of most of his armour. He was a reluctant flyer at the best of times, but as a first-time pilot, Wish was sending the door swooping up and down and swaying side to side in such a wild and uncontrolled manner that his stomach seemed to have been left behind somewhere back in the castle. "Which way shall I take it?" said Wish. Zar pointed down to the right. "The Snowcats and Crusher are waiting for us somewhere over in that direction," he said. It was a bit of a bumpy landing. When they got below the tree canopy, Wish had quite a lot of difficulty getting the door to slow down, and because she always got a tad confused between left and right, the door slalomed rather maniacally through the tree trunks until eventually she found a small clearing, and they slammed down into the ground with such energy that all three of them were catapulted off the door. "Whoa!" said Zar with reluctant respect, picking himself up and brushing himself off. "You are one crazy door driver, Wish." And then he punched the air and shouted, "I did it! Quest accomplished! Look at me, oh gods of the trees and water!" and bowed down in respect. "Oh yes, well done, Zar, well done!" squealed Squeeze Juice excitedly. "You is brilliant! You really is! You really are!" "I most certainly am," said Zar with a grin. "One 13-year-old boy flying very low has achieved the impossible double, breaking out of Gorman Crag prison and getting over Queen Sycorax's supposedly unbreachable wall not once but twice. I am the boy of destiny. Feel my power." And then he threw back his head and howled, "Arrrr! Arrrr!" Wish and Bodkin, picking themselves up and realizing the enormity of what had just happened, looked at the so-called boy of destiny very, very balefully indeed. "Aren't you going to thank me for saving you?" said Zar, just to add insult to injury. "Or don't warriors do thank yous?" "The cheek of it!" "Ha ha ha! You saved us!" exclaimed Wish in outrage, her hands on her hips. "We saved you! If I hadn't enchanted that door, those magic hunters would have killed you. And now Bodkin and I are in big trouble." "Helping me out of there was the least you could do when all your relatives were attacking me," said Zar. "Your warriors are not very friendly to your guests." "Guests? Guests are invited. Guests are polite. Guests don't sneak in invisibly and try to steal things off you," said Wish. "I think the word you may be looking for is burglar, not guest." "That spelling book is mine," howled Zar. "I need it for a very important quest. And talking of burglary, you warriors know all about that, don't you? Because you're the biggest burglars in the world, and you've been stealing this forest off us for as long as anyone can remember." "You can't steal a forest," yelled Wish. "The forest belongs to everyone." "Try telling your mother that," Zar glowered. "Your father is just as bad as my mother. I've seen him," said Wish. Wizard and warrior stood nose to nose in the forest, bellowing insults and curses at each other, as their ancestors had done throughout history, ever since warriors first invaded from across the seas, and the two sets of humans met in battle in the wildwoods centuries before. Caliburn sighed. However, many lifetimes he lived, these humans never seemed to change. He'd hoped for better from these two, but maybe they were going to be just like the others. But Zar wasn't feeling too pleased with his father, so he had to agree with Wish's last remark, and Wish was feeling rather the same about her mother. They both paused. "We shouldn't be fighting, what is Zar?" said Wish, at last sticking out her hand for him to shake. "I've been really worried about what happened to you, and I'm so glad you're safe. I thought we were friends." Zar didn't have all that many friends at the moment, what with one thing and another, and he rather liked Wish, even if she was an enemy. He was even rather fond of the odd bodyguard who kept falling asleep, so after a while he said, "Thank you for helping me out by enchanting the door." Zara shook her hand and grinned back. "And I like your style of door driving." Maybe there was hope for the humans after all. "And it was really funny, wasn't it?" hissed Stiffen Storm, blinking into life beside them. "The witch smeller screaming like a screech owl. The spoon is alive! The spoon is alive!" Now the danger was over. It really was quite funny. Wish and Zar, the sprites, and even Bodkin were laughing at the memory of the witch smeller. The spoon did a brilliant impression of bonking him on the nose. Even Caliburn's shoulders were shaking before he remembered himself and gave a little cough. I'd just like to gently remind you that you're supposed to be meeting everyone else here, Zar. Zar stopped laughing. Ah, yes, you're right, Caliburn, he whistled a couple of times. Now, where are those snowcats? And Crusher, I told them not to wander off. Oh, there you are, exclaimed Zar, as out of the gloom of the forest there burst 3 stunningly beautiful lynxes, who padded over to Zar and greeted him as enthusiastically as if they had been 3 little kittens, knocking him over onto his back and slathering his face with licks. Night Eye, King Cat, Forest Heart. Crusher, sang Wish delightedly, as with great crashing noises the giant lumbered into the clearing, pushing the trees aside, his head on a level with the topmost branches. She hugged the snow cats, burying her face into the deep softness of their fur, and then ran to embrace the giant round the ankle. Oh, I've missed you all. And we just miss you, trilled Squeeze Juice, happily flying into her hair and making a joyful nest into it. Rundunculus homuncular being. Some of us have, said Hinky Punk, and just to show that not all sprites were as shoppy as Squeeze Juice, he blew a little sprite breath which froze Wish's fringe and stuck it to her forehead. Not me, though. I hate warriors. And this is the once sprite, said Zar, pointing to the little sprite sitting on the back of a peregrine falcon that had landed on his shoulder. He's a new member of my sprite team. Your wicked mother took his magic away, but he's learning to live life without it, aren't you, once sprite? His wings don't work anymore, but he's learned to fly on the back of this peregrine falcon. The once sprite was sprite-sized and sprite-shaped, but no bright light shone from his chest. His colour had faded till you could hardly tell what it might have been once. His wings had withered on his shoulders, and the sharp little point of his ears had turned and drooped. It's very nice to meet you, said Wish, giving the once sprite a shy wave. The once sprite did not look as if he had forgiven Wish for her mother's actions. He stared stiffly into the distance, as though Wish were not there. But Wish was too happy in that moment to mind. The truth is, if you spend most of your life with your only real friends being an assistant bodyguard and a spoon, it's very nice to meet up with some other people who are on the same wavelength, even if some of them are a little annoying sometimes and supposed to be your deadly enemies. Bodkin drew his sword and screamed, Werewolf! Get behind me, Wash! There's a werewolf! As he saw Lonesome, for the first time, prowling in the shadows behind the other wolves, his tail swaying ominously from side to side. Oh no, that's fine, he's a friend, explained Zar with a careless wave of his hand. I met him in Gorman Crag. A friend? You're friends with a werewolf? Said Bodkin. This really was too much, even for Zar. But werewolves used to be known as companions for watchers. And what were you doing in Gorman Crag? Isn't that some kind of prison? Lonesome was innocent. He should never have been in prison for the first place, said Zar. And for a loner, raving, fang-mouthed werewolf, he's really quite friendly. He just needs a bit of help with his manners. Doesn't everyone in prison say they're innocent? Said Bodkin, looking very dubiously indeed at the werewolf, who was pawing at the ground in a manic sort of way, as if he was barely repressing the urge to rip them all to pieces. The werewolf bared its teeth menacingly at Bodkin. Oh, Bodkin, don't be so prejudiced, scolded Wish. This werewolf may be very nice werewolf for all we know. The werewolf paused for a moment, stiffening a little in surprise. He'd never met warriors before, having spent his whole life locked up in Gorman Crag, and this was the first time that anyone had ever described him as a very nice. Most people just ran away screaming. Why were you in prison, Zar? Asked Wish. And why do you want the spelling book? I've just given it back to you. You didn't have to sneak in and steal it. Caliburn didn't want me to get you involved, said Zar, and I need a spelling book so I can make my father's staff work properly. I'm going to need all the magic I can get in the quest I'm going on, a quest to get rid of this. Zar took off his glove. Wish and Bodkin let out horrified gasps. I wish you'd stop doing that, moaned Caliburn, putting one wing over his eye as the sprites burned with green fire, hissing and cursing in alarm, and the snowcats and the wolves crouched down, growling. A trembling Squeeze Juice flew into Wish's hair and made a little nest there. Oh, my goodness, whispered Wish in horror. What happened to your hand? It's the witch stain, isn't it? But I thought the stone that takes away magic had taken the witch stain away. We all saw it happen in my mother's dungeon. Yes, well, it didn't take away all of it, said Zar. The great thing about it is that I can do magic now, and that's wonderful at first, but the very bad thing about it is, it's bad magic, finished Caliburn. Very, very bad magic, and as you can see, it's getting worse. Bodkin and Wish shivered as they looked at Tsar's hand. It looks awful. You're not worried that it might turn you to the bad Tsar? Suggested Wish. She laid a gentle hand on Tsar's arm. She could feel a slight coldness as she touched him, like ghost breath on the back of the neck. Tsar wasn't looking well. His hair was damp as if he had a temperature. The green of the witch stain had crept all the way beyond his wrist. There was a feverish look in his eye, and he shivered now and then as if he was about to catch a nasty bout of the flu. Sometimes his hands stiffened and his fingers curled and turned into claws, and even Tsar found that a little scary. The Druids found out about the witch stain and shut me up in Gormancrag. They said they were trying to find a cure, but they were lying, and my father believed them, said Tsar. They all just want me to stay in Gormancrag forever. My father doesn't care. Well, I'll show them. But what are you going to do, Tsar? Said Bodkin. That stone that takes away magic is broken. You can't use that anymore. The only way to get rid of a witch stain is to get rid of the witches themselves, said Tsar. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out there and destroy them. Bodkin looked at him with an open mouth. He had met witches before and knew exactly how scary they were. You're going to get out there and face a whole horde of acid-blooded nightmares all on your own on purpose, but you're just one small boy. Caliburn coughed. And it's all very well saying you're going to destroy them, Tsar, but how exactly? That's been my point along. Well, that's why I need my spelling book, said Tsar. I'm sure there will be something in there that can help me. That is the most extraordinary coincidence, cried Wish excitedly. What coincidence? Moaned Caliburn, feeling the beginnings of a serious worry coming on. I hate coincidences. I've just today found a spell in the spelling book to get rid of witches, said Wish. In fact, that's exactly why I broke out of the punishment cupboard. I wanted to get the spell to you and your father. Bodkin, sure Tsar. As soon as she said these words, the spelling book flew out of Bodkin's pocket and up into the air and into Wish's hands, growing larger as it flew. Wish tapped the letters on the contents page to take them to the right part of the book. It was quite a strange, really. I didn't find it so much as write at, admitted Wish. I was using the feather that Caliburn gave me to write with, and it was almost as if Caliburn's feather was writing on its own. They all crowded around the spelling book to see the page. Look, it's a recipe. Maybe the spelling book wants us to eat the wishes, said Squeeze Juice, excitedly, for Squeeze Juice was always hungry. That's not a recipe, said Tsar. Oh my goodness, you're right. It's a spell to get rid of witches. I knew it. They all gazed hopefully at the spell. You wrote this with my feather, did you, Wish? Said Caliburn, so worried now that the feathers were dropping from his back like leaves in autumn. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Sometimes I forget what happened in my former lives, but the memory lives on in my feathers. You've lost me there, Bodkin. Caliburn, said Bodkin, shaking his head. I have no idea what you're talking about. Former lives? Yes, I have lived many, many lives as human, but this is the first time I've been reincarnated as a bird, explained Caliburn, as if this was the most normal thing in the world. So perhaps the weather is writing a message to me, from me, in one of my former lives. Bodkin's head was going round and round. These wizards and magical things were so complicated. Having just one life as a warrior assistant bodyguard was so much simpler than all this reincarnating, turning into birds business. But I've never heard of a spell so strong that it could actually get rid of witches entirely, said Caliburn. Did I really know that in a former life? What does this mean? It means, said Tsar rather animatedly, that we're going spell raiding, guys. Oh, this is so exciting. Spell raiding was a rather disreputable part of the magic world. Spells need ingredients, and some of these ingredients were hard to get hold of, so wild, wingless young sprites called spell raiders specialised in collecting and stealing spell ingredients. They flew at night on the back of specially trained peregrine falcons in order to make a quick getaway. The one sprite cheered up no end. He had been drooping sadly on the back of the peregrine falcon, but now he sat up, so excited that he might have an important role to play in the world once more, that he accidentally fell off his bird, scrambled up on its back again, and saluted Tsar, saying, I won't let you down, Tsar. Yous can rely on me. Me too, squeaked Squeeze Juice. I just want to be a spell raider too. You's too young to be a spell reader, said the Once Sprite. It's very dangerous. You can guard some of the collecting bottles that we're going to put the ingredients in. The Once Sprite rustled in his spell bags and gave a few collecting bottles to Squeeze Juice, who said, "I's as glad and wish of my life." "All right, then. Let's see. What's the first ingredient?" said Tsar excitedly. "The giant's last breath from Castle Death." The werewolf started to growl and gesticulate urgently. What he said was, "Roar, grunt, growl, 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 grunt, roar." And then a loud spitting noise and a stamp of the hairy foot followed by growl, growl, growl. "Look, Lonesome is immediately agreeing with us. He's saying we have to go immediately to Castle Death," said Tsar. "You speak werewolf?" asked Wish, deeply impressed. "Ah, yes, fluently," said Tsar carelessly. "Would you say fluently?" said Caliburn to no one in particular. "Fluently," repeated Tsar firmly. "We wizards all get lessons in werewolf language." "So he's brilliant, isn't he?" said Squeeze Juice proudly. "Species is werewolf is like it's werewolf himself." "Your lessons sound so much more interesting than our lessons," said Wish longingly. "What's he saying now?" "Grunt, whir, stamp, spit," repeated the werewolf rather more urgently. "Don't worry, Lonesome. I understand," said Tsar. "We need to go to Castle Death immediately." Unfortunately, that wasn't what the werewolf was saying. Tsar really should have concentrated harder in the werewolf class language lessons. Kriegel does indeed mean Castle Death, so Tsar had got that bit right. But go to in werewolf language is grunt, whior, whereas grunt, whior means stay away from. The spit and stamp was just for emphasis, so what the werewolf was actually saying was, for goodness sake, stay away from Castle Death. The werewolf got more urgent still. Riag, Krugel, Skoffen, Bergen, stamp, spit, Pergen, grunt, weor, nergen, grunt, weor, grunt, weor, kriegel, piorgel, discottel, ergel, riori, pior. And what that meant was, "That's not what I said, you stupid human. Stay away, not go to. Stay away from Castle Death if you want to hang on to your pathetic little human lives." And then Lonesome threw his head back and started howling. "Lonesome's just becoming a little frustrated because he thinks we should be getting a move on," said Tsar. Tsar patted the werewolf kindly on the paw. "Don't worry, Lonesome. We're going there. We're going there as fast as we can." "I think we should go too," said Wish decidedly. "What?" said Bodkin. And we're leaving it there. I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.